Hello student, good afternoon. Uh, Today we will study about since we have in the last class we have studied about different levels of the motor system, like middle and lower motor system, and after that alpha motor neuron that we have discussed in lower motor neuron in lowest class, lowest level of the motor system. Then there comes the role of the effector muscle organ. In a somatic motor system, the effector organ is what? A skeletal muscle. So any type of motor activity that we do, any type, even the speech, we can express ourselves, our thoughts and feelings in the form of speech. That is also a somatic motor action, and that is all the movements, skillful, unskillful, they are all combination of the coordinated muscle movement. Okay, but we want to discuss here some of the important aspects of the muscle as an effector organ. What other characteristic does it have? Okay, so for that we have to know some terminology, like what is motor unit, what is proprioceptor, and what is muscle toe. So let's just start it. We'll study what is motor unit. The motor unit is the functional module used by the motor control system to carry out any type of movement. Okay, so what is this? This is a functional module. You can say functional unit also, you can say. Okay, so that is the motor unit, and we know what motor unit consists of. I think the motor unit has been taught to you in previous classes of skeletal muscle. Okay, you can revise there, but here we will discuss some of them, their effect, not many of them. Okay, so as we know what is motor unit, it consists of a single motor neuron. Okay, single motor neuron and the supplying fibers to the different muscle fibers. So a single motor neurons with muscle fiber, it innervates, it supplies, that constitute a motor unit. Okay, that consists a motor unit. So that should give you some characteristic about the motor unit. There are some characteristic of motor unit like innervation ratio. What is innervation ratio? Innervation ratio, or in other words, it is also known as the size of the motor unit. Okay, the number of motor muscle fiber that a single motor neuron innervates is known as innervation ratio, or the size of the motor unit. We say size of the motor unit or innervation ratio increased when a motor unit supplies more and more number of, a single motor neuron supplies more and more number of muscle fiber. We say innervation is decreased, or size of this motor unit is decreased, when a single motor neuron supplies lesser and lesser fiber. So it depends. Suppose there is an eye movement, oculomotor muscles, eye movement. Now this movement needs very small innervation ratio or a smaller size of motor unit. So here single motor neuron will supply approx 3 to 6 muscle fiber only. Okay, whereas in a muscle that maintains the posture, like back muscles, like gastrocnemius muscle, they will have innervation ratio or size of the motor unit as large as 2000 muscle fiber per motor unit. So you can see the difference between the two, the oculomotor muscles and the back muscles. So depending upon the muscle, we can have very variable motor unit size or innervation ratio. The second characteristic of motor unit is the motor neuron pool. Now what is motor neuron pool? See, motor neuron pool is defined only for muscles. So you know muscles have many fibers, and those many fibers may be supplied by 2 or more neurons. That means there are more than one motor unit there. So collection of all those motor units for a particular muscles is known as motor neuron pool, right? So we say that when more and more motor unit is recruited, more tension is developed, more and strength in the contraction is developed. Okay, so there are two types of motor unit based on the fiber it supplies, type 1 and type 2. The type 1 is for fiber that is red or slow muscle fiber. Type 2 motor units supplies the white or fast fiber, and I think you know the difference between white fiber and red fiber, right? So these are some basic things, not too detailed about the motor unit because it is a topic for the skeletal muscle. So we just discuss what is motor unit so that we don't get confused here. Okay, so muscle sensors definitely means that the receptors present there in the muscles, its tendons, joints. So the muscle sensor refers to the proprioceptor. Now what is proprioceptors? Proprioceptors are the special type of receptors that gives the information about change in position of different parts of the body. It gives the information about the change in position of different parts of the body in space. So in which direction you're facing your head, in which direction you are your lower limbs are, in which direction your upper limbs are. So proprioceptors are receptors which are present in the muscle, joints, tendons. There is a special type of receptor which gives information about the change in position of different parts of the body in the space. Okay, so these muscle sensors or proprioceptors can be muscle spindle, GTO, that is Golgi tendon organ, Pacinian corpuscle, okay. So we were discussing that muscle spindle, Golgi tendon organ, Pacinian corpuscle, free nerve ending, these are the proprioceptors. And apart from that, there is a proprioceptor that contains and that is present in labyrinth also. Okay, so let's talk about the muscle spindle. What is muscle spindle? First you see this figure. Okay, now we are talking about this middle portion. Okay, and this portion is known as muscle spindle. The muscle spindle this is the receptor. Okay, the middle portion that we are going to talk about is the muscle spindle. So basically muscle spindle are nothing but a stretch receptor, and that is present in skeletal muscle. They are meant for proprioceptive mechanism. So we can say that this muscle spindle or the stretch receptor, they are a proprioceptor also. Now each skeletal muscle contains muscle spindle of variable number, and it will depend what task is performed by that muscle, whether it is less preciseful, whether it is a more posture maintaining. So that will depend upon the function of the muscle. So muscle which are involved in precision movement or skillful movement, they have many more muscle spindle than the muscle which is involved in the posture. So the muscle which are involved in the posture has less muscle spindle. The muscle which are involved in the skillful movement or precision movement, they contain more muscle spindles. For example, hand muscle have approx 80 spindles, and which is 20% of the number of the spindle present in the back muscle, which is weighed 100 times as much as the muscle in the hand. Now let's talk about the structure. Each muscle spindle consists of 3 to 10 small muscle fiber. So you can see this middle one, these are the muscle fiber, 3 to 10 small muscle fiber, and these are known as intrafusal fiber. Surrounding it is the extrafusal fiber, and the white portion is the fluid in which this intrafusal fiber are present. So these intrafusal fiber are encapsulated by a thin membrane, and this thin membrane contains fluid in which this intrafusal fiber bathe. The muscle spindle are present between and parallel to the extrafusal fiber. These extrafusal fiber, they are large force generating muscle fiber, but the end of extrafusal fiber and the intrafusal fiber, they are attached at a common point. Okay, that is known as endomysium of the extrafusal fiber. You can see here. Okay, so middle portion intrafusal fiber, the outer portion, that is the extrafusal fiber. We'll talk about more about it, what receptors are present out here. So let's talk about intrafusal fiber. It consists of central portion and the peripheral portion, or the polar portion. These are known as polar portion of the intrafusal fiber, central portion of the intrafusal fiber. The central portion is non-contractile. It is devoid of any actin and myosin filament, and that's why it can also be called as non-striated portion of the intrafusal fiber. So first point, it is non-contractile portion, the central portion. It does not have actin and myosin filament, and thus it is devoid of any striation, because striation comes due to the actin and myosin filament. So non-striated, non-contractile, devoid of any actin and myosin, the central portion. But the polar portion, they are contractile, they are striated because they have actin and myosin filament. This polar portion of the intrafusal fiber, they have actin and myosin. They are known as striated pole. They are known as striated pole. The central part of each intrafusal fiber is the sensory portion actually. These are the sensory portion. These are the sensory portion, and the polar part or striated poles, these are the motor portion. Okay, so the central parts which have a sensory portion, stretching or contraction of the polar part or polar striated region of intraphyseal fiber will cause stretching of this central non-contractile portion of the intraphyseal fiber. That means the stretching or contraction of the polar striated regions of intraphyseal fiber will cause stretching in the central non-contractile sensory portion of the intraphyseal fiber, right? So this intraphyseal fiber present out here, they are of two types. One is nuclear bag fibers and other is nuclear chain fiber. Nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain fiber. We have discussed that the intraphyseal fiber are how much in number? They are 3 to 10 in numbers. 3 to 10 in numbers in each muscle spindle. So if you are going to discuss about the type of the intraphyseal fiber that is present, it is nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain fiber. Now this portion is, the upper portion is known as nuclear bag fiber. Why it is so called, we will see. The number of nuclear bag fiber in each spindle is about 2 to 5. Okay, and they are 30 micrometer in diameter and 7 millimeter in length. But when you talk about this nuclear chain fiber below this, they are small. They are 5 to 10 or 6 to 10 in number, but their diameter is just half, 15 micrometer. Okay. Now why they are called as nuclear bag? Because the nucleus present out in these fibers are accumulated centrally, just like a bag. So they are known as nuclear bag fiber. Here the nucleus are not aggregated centrally, but they are arranged in a specific chain manner. That's why this is known as nuclear chain fiber. Okay. Now nerve supply to the muscle spindle. Okay, now just visualize the figure again. Okay, the muscle spindle is innervated by both sensory and motor fiber. It is only receptor in the body which has got both sensory and motor. See, a receptor should have only sensory supply, right? But this is only receptor in the whole body, the muscle spindle, that have motor nerve fiber also along with the sensory fiber, right? So let's talk about the sensory fiber that innervates this muscle spindle. We know the central non-contractile non-striated portion is the sensory portion of this receptor of the intraphyseal fiber. This sensory fiber supply this area. There are two types of sensory fiber that supplies this central portion of the intraphyseal fiber. One is group 1A fiber. They are known as primary sensory endings. Group 2 fiber, that is also known as secondary sensory ending. Okay. Now what is group 1A fiber or primary sensory ending? They supply the central portion of both, remember, both. They supply the central portion of both nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain fiber. Since these fiber spirally wind around the intrafusal fiber. So they will attach and they will wind around spirally. So we say that the endings are which type of ending? Annulo-spiral ending. So the ending of group 1A fiber on the central portion of the nuclear bag fiber as well as nuclear chain fiber has annulo-spiral ending. They have a diameter, these fiber, I mean the 1A fiber, they have a diameter about 17 micrometer and they can carry impulse at the rate of 70 to 120 meter per second. Right. The primary ending supplies the both nuclear bag as well as nuclear chain intrafusal fiber. They are stimulated. These endings, these afferent ending A, afferent, these afferent ending arising from this spindle central portion will be stimulated when the muscle spindle is stretched, but the pattern of response is different. Okay, but the pattern of response is different. A dynamic response is shown by nerve endings supplying the nuclear bag fiber. So dynamic response means, see, when something is moving, something is changing in length, either decreasing or increasing, that is known as dynamic response. And when something is not moving, it is a static, that is known as static response. So when there is a change in length or stretching of the muscle spindle, the response will be different in the both fiber, like those supplying the chain fiber and those supplying the bag fiber. The bag fiber will show a dynamic response, whereas a chain fiber will show a static response. Okay, understood? So again we will see the figure here and we will understand the things which we have read here. You can see the afferent sensory fiber, it is called as primary fiber. Okay, and these are 1A and 2, primary fiber and secondary fiber. When we are talking about the 1A fiber, the 1A fiber has ending on both nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain fiber. Okay, the ending in nuclear bag fiber is like of spiral ending, so it is known as annulo-spiral ending. Okay, the ending in a here it is annulo-spiral ending both. Okay, in the nuclear chain fiber, nuclear bag fiber, so it is known as annulo-spiral ending. So whenever the muscle get stretched, so this fiber get stimulated, right? But the response in this fiber is different in this fiber. This will respond to a dynamic stretch and this will respond to a static stretch, right? So now we will move to the other sensory fiber, that is the group 2 fiber. Let's first see what is the group 2. This group 2 fiber are supplying the central portion of the, these are a sensory fiber, they are supplying the central portion of the the nuclear chain fiber and not the nuclear bag fiber, only chain fiber, and they are positioned just beside the primary or the 1A fiber, right? And they have a flower base like ending, so it is known as flower spray ending. So it is a secondary fiber. Okay, let's see what secondary fiber is. Type 2 fiber is also known as secondary sensory endings. It innervates the receptor portion of the mainly the nuclear chain fiber on one side of the primary ending. They are also known as flower spray ending. Okay, their ending is also known as flower spray ending. They have a diameter of about 8 micrometer. Okay, so it's less than that of group 1A fiber, and the nerve ending responds mainly to the sustained stretching. Okay, sustained stretching. Like if we increase or decrease the length, that will be dynamic stretching, and if we stretch the spindle and leave it therefore, that will be called as sustained stretching. If we leave that stretching for a certain period of time, that is known as sustained stretching. But when you are increasing or decreasing the stretching, that is known as dynamic stretching. So this type 2 fiber responds mainly to the sustained stretching, and that's why they will ultimately, the dynamicity does not have any length because it can change, it can decrease or increase. But when there is sustained stretching, it does have a final length. So the type 2 fiber actually measures the muscle length, right? This is group 1A fiber and this is type 2 fiber. Okay, now let's come to motor supply. Before motor supply, let us see again the figure so that you could understand. Now motor supply is also known as efferent fiber. Okay, this efferent fiber or the motor fiber will innervate which portion of the intrafusal fiber? It will innervate the polar end of the intrafusal fiber, and these efferent fiber are A gamma, right? Now A gamma also has a dynamic, A gamma dynamic, A gamma static. As you can see, the A gamma dynamic, it innervates the nuclear bag fiber. A gamma static, nuclear chain fiber. We will see, we will read it. What is the function of A gamma? We will see. So motor supply, the efferent fiber to the muscle spindle are known as gamma fiber because their axons belongs to A gamma group of fiber. We have A, B, C group, है ना? A alpha, A beta, A gamma, A delta, then B, C. This group of fiber according to the diameter, according to the the impulse velocity. So they are divided. So these are actually are in the group of A gamma neurons fibers. So gamma efferent fiber control what? It control the sensitivity of the receptor to the stretch. Okay, it controls. It can increase the sensitivity if it fires more. If the gamma fiber, the efferent fibers, if it fires more, it will increase the sensitivity of the receptor to a stretch. Suppose a particular stretch is there, particular strength of a stretch is there, and there is a certain level of sensitivity to catch this stretch, to sense this stretch, right? But when this gamma efferent is firing for the same strength of a stretch, sensitivity of the receptor will increase. So that is the function of the gamma efferent. Sensitivity of the receptor increase means threshold of the receptor will increase. It will pick up the less threshold stimulus also. Okay, they will be more hyper excited for the same type of threshold or same type of original stretch. Stretch strength is same, sensitivity is increased to catch up those stretch, and that is the function of gamma efferent, right? So we have two type of fiber. We have dynamic gamma fiber and static gamma fiber. What is dynamic gamma fiber? Dynamic gamma fiber primarily innervates which fiber? Nuclear bag fiber, striated pole or end poles, polar poles of the nucleated bag fiber. They end as a motor end plate, so they are also known as plate ending. So their ending is like a plate, है ना, एक प्लेट की तरह, एक फ्लैट प्लेट की तरह वहां पर एंड करता है. दैट्स व्हाई नोन एज दिस मोटर एंडिंग, डायनेमिक गामा फाइबर मोटर एंडिंग on the nuclear bag fiber is known as plate ending. Again, this fiber increases the sensitivity of which fiber? 1A afferent fiber to stretch. That is, 1A afferent fiber rate for a given velocity of the stretch is increased by the discharge of dynamic gamma fiber. Okay. Okay. So, dynamic gamma fiber will innervate a striated pole of nuclear fiber, and since this ending is as like a plate, so they are known as plate endings. Okay. This fiber increases the sensitivity of the 1A fiber, that is a sensory fiber. 1A afferent fiber की sensitivity को बढ़ा देगा कौन? Dynamic gamma fiber. That is, 1A afferent firing rate will, for a given velocity of the stretch, will increased by the discharge of dynamic gamma fiber. Right? ये हमने explain कर दिया था पहले ही. Static gamma fiber, ये कहाँ पर end होता है? That will end in the striated pole. Okay. End poles, not in the center. End poles of the nuclear chain fiber, because all the motor fiber are ending on the striated pole. So they will end, this static gamma fiber will end on the nuclear chain fiber, and where they end as a network of branches, so they are known as trail ending. तो सबका ending अलग अलग होता है ना. Annulospiral ending if it is sensory, 1A fiber. Okay. If it is motor, we have dynamic fiber as a plate ending, we have a static gamma fiber as a trail ending. So the ending, the different name are there as the structure of the end terminal portion of the fiber is there, and according to that the naming is there. Okay. Now what is the function of static gamma fiber? They increase the tonic activity. So if you are asked which fiber helps in maintaining the tone of the muscle, alpha, gamma, okay, so your answer will be gamma. If that, in that option, if it is there gamma dynamic, gamma static, your answer will be gamma static. समझ में आया? ठीक है, ऐसे गामा बोलो, बट अगर स्पेसिफिक कर दिया है ऑप्शन में डायनेमिक गामा, स्टैटिक गामा, तो इट विल बी स्टैटिक गामा. कभी कभी एंड के नाम से भी एमसीक्यूज आते हैं, प्लेट एंडिंग और ट्रेल एंडिंग, तो इट विल बी ट्रेल एंडिंग. राइट. सो इट विल इंक्रीज द टोनिक एक्टिविटी in the 1A afferent fiber at any given muscle length. Sometimes they also give branch to nuclear bag fiber. न्यूक्लियर चेन में तो है, कभी कभी न्यूक्लियर बैग फाइबर को भी अपना एक ब्रांच देता है. दैट्स व्हाई दे आर आल्सो नोन एज स्टैटिक न्यूक्लियर बैग फाइबर. जनरली द बैग फाइबर्स, दे आर डायनेमिक either for the motor or for the this sensory, but some branches are given from the dynamic static gamma fiber to the nuclear bag fiber, and those nuclear bag fiber will be called as the static nuclear bag fiber. समझ में आया? एक बार स्ट्रक्चर को रिवाइंड करते हैं. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, मसल स्पिंडल क्वेश्चन पूछे जाते हैं. So we have intrafusal fiber, two type of intrafusal fiber. One is nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain fiber. The central portion is the sensory portion. The peripheral portion is the pole is known as the motor portion. In the sensory portion, the afferent fiber innervates, and in the peripheral portion, the efferent fiber innervates. Afferent fiber or sensory fiber is of two types. One is primary 1A and secondary 2. The primary 1A fiber innervates both the central portion of the nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain fiber. Okay, and both have endings like an annular spiral, so it is known as annular spiral ending, whereas the second fiber 2 is ending on the central portion only, but in the beside the primary and in the nuclear chain fiber, and they have an ending like a flower spray ending, right? So these are the difference. The nuclear bag fiber is for dynamic sensation, and this is for static sensation. The response in this fiber is for static stretch, right? Now the second is the efferent fiber. Efferent motor fiber is a gamma fiber. Actually, there are two types, A dynamic and A static. The A dynamic ends on the peripheral portion of the, or the polar portion of the intrafusal fiber, nuclear bag fiber, and this gamma static, and also the ending, the dynamic gamma static gamma fiber ending on the polar portion has which type of ending? Plate ending. And this gamma static fiber ending on the polar portion of the nuclear chain fiber has a trail ending, like a tail. कोई confusion नहीं है इसमें. Okay, and what is the function of this afferent? This afferent will increase the sensitivity of this fiber, which is involved in the tone. Specifically, it is a gamma dynamic. Gamma dynamic will increase its discharge. It will also increase the tonic activity in the 1A fiber, right? What is the function of muscle spindle? Muscle spindle short notes आते हैं, long notes भी आते हैं, ठीक है? What is the function of muscle spindle? First of all, there is a role in the stretch reflex, and a stretch reflex, I think it had been done in the chapter, or we will discuss it when we go forward. Okay, muscle spindle, they form a receptor for a stretch reflex. A stretch reflex occurs at the level of spinal cord, supervised by the superior cortex, right? There is a role of muscle spindle in maintaining the muscle tone, as we have discussed. Okay, from the gamma motor neuron, to be specific, static gamma motor neuron, static gamma fiber, right? Now there is a role in the maintaining the skeletal muscle at a certain physiological length. So if we say the muscle spindle का काम क्या है, तो याद रखना दो चीज होते हैं जो MCQ में पूछा जाता है. मसल स्पिंडल और क्या काम क्या है, तो स्पिंडल में L है ना. सो ऑप्शन आएगा कि इसके लेंथ को, टोन को, या फिर इसके स्ट्रेच को, किस चीज को ये अफेक्ट करता है. तो जनरली लेंथ को ये अफेक्ट करता है, फिजियोलॉजिकल लेंथ को. ये ऑप्शन अगर रहे तो लेंथ मारना है, ठीक है. तो हम लोग देखेंगे कि गोल्जी टेंडन ऑर्गन का फिर क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है कि गोल्जी टेंडन ऑर्गन क्या करता है. ये गोल्जी टेंडन में टी है, इसीलिए ये टेंशन को मतलब सेंस करता है, और मसल स्पिंडल में एल है तो ये लेंथ को सेंस करता है. तो ये कुछ निमोनिक्स है जो कि हम लोग अपने पीजी टाइम्स में इसको याद रखते. बहुत कन्फ्यूजन होता था कि कौन यार मसल स्पिंडल या गोल्जी टेंडन, सब लगता था कि एक ही है, और कौन लेंथ को करेगा, कौन टोन को सेंस करेगा. दिस वर द देयर वाज कंफ्यूजन. So we have important role in maintaining the skeletal muscle at a certain physiological length. So most important function of muscle spindle is to act as a comparator. It acts as a comparator. Comparator of what? Comparator of extrafusal fiber length. So that means according to the length of the extrafusal fiber, it will decide the length of the whole muscle. How? At a normal resting extrafusal fiber length. The extrafusal fiber is the fiber surrounding the intrafusal fiber. So at normal resting state, there is a slight discharge in the type 1A afferent. Type 1A afferent. But when the muscle length is passively increased, so if you increase the muscle length passively by moving, actively and passively means what? Actively means you are moving with your own strength. If someone is moving your muscles, that is a passive increase in length of the muscles. So when the length of the muscle is passively increased, that is when the muscle is stretched passively, then type 1A discharge is increased. So there was a slight discharge at resting condition. At a passive stretch, the type 1A discharge increases. The reflex increase in the alpha motor neuron, and for your information, this alpha motor neurons innervates the extrafusal fiber. Gamma motor neuron was innervating the intrafusal fiber. This alpha motor fiber innervates the extrafusal fiber. So whenever there is a stretch, the sensation will be taken away by the 1A fiber, increased sensation against spinal cord. Then from the alpha motor neuron will cause contraction of this extrafusal fiber, and this will try to restore the original length. That was the increased length, that will try to restore the original length, decrease the length by contracting the extrafusal fiber. So the physiological length was the it was original. So the physiological length is the original length, and when it has been increased, so the body will try to restore that original physiological length. For that, there is a contraction of the extrafusal fiber, and so the original physiological length is restored. Thus, the muscle spindle, through the stretch reflex, it was a stretch reflex that we talked about. Okay, the sensation going from 1A, then it will like there is a stretch, then sensation increasing in 1A, discharge increasing in 1A, it will go to the spinal cord, then the alpha motor neuron, and then there is a contraction of the the extrafusal muscle. So this is the a part of the stretch reflex. So the muscle spindle, through the stretch reflex, they act as a feedback device to maintain the original skeletal muscle at a certain physiological useful length. This action of the muscle spindle is of fundamental importance in maintaining the standing posture. Okay. Role of proprioceptors. So muscle spindle can act as a proprioceptor. There is a pressure receptors which sense the vibration. So there are two type of sensation, that is a unconscious proprioceptive sensation, and there is a conscious proprioceptive sensation. The conscious proprioception is also known as kinesthetic sensation. So these unconscious proprioceptive sensation are carried from the muscle spindle to the spinal cord, where the second order neuron will constitute dorsal and ventral spinocerebellar tract. Dorsal and ventral spinocerebellar tract. Whereas conscious kinesthetic sensation will be carried by the from the muscle spindle to the dorsal column of the spinal cord. Okay, which will reach the somatic sensory cortex in the cerebral cortex, right? In the post-central gyrus. Okay, this function muscle spindle is similar to that of joint receptor. So though your muscle spindle can also act as a proprioceptors, right? Now we come to another organ, that is the Golgi tendon organ, and इसका भी डिस्कशन हम लोग दूसरे इसमें करेंगे, आगे क्लास में करेंगे, या कोई दूसरे टीचर पढ़ा सकते हैं. Golgi tendon organ, as I said, you have to just remember that it is T for tendon, so it is present on a tendon. T for tension, so it senses the or detect the muscle tension. बस इतना जानना है आपको. पैसिनियन कॉर्पसल एक अलग प्रोप्रियोसेप्टर्स है ना. तो पैसिनियन कॉर्पसल मीन्स इट इज अ प्रेशर रिसेप्टर. इट इज प्रेजेंट वेयर मसल, टेंडन, जॉइंट, periosteum. They are supplied by group 2 afferent fiber, and they will detect what? This will detect vibration. Then there is a free nerve ending. Free nerve ending are basically pain receptors situation in the muscle, tendon, fascia, joints. They will sense what? Pain stimuli, that is the noxious stimuli. Let's talk about the muscle tone. So we have discussed the muscle spindle. Now we will discuss the muscle tone. What is the muscle tone? Okay. So muscle tone is defined as resistance offered to the active or passive stretch. Either other will move your body, or you will move actively your body, or the limb, lower limb, upper limb, anything, any muscular activity. So the resistance provided to that movement or that stretch is known as muscle tone. In other words, like if you are sitting now or if you are standing, there are certain group of muscle which will be relaxed, but there will be certain group of muscle that will be in a partial state of contraction, so that you maintain the sitting posture, so that you maintain your standing posture. Okay, like if I am standing or standing, so my upper limb, like my biceps, triceps, they will be of lesser tone because they are not actively participating in the contraction, right, or in the postural movement, right? But when you are standing, your back portion, your extensor muscle of your legs, feet, thigh, they are actively engaged. So they will have a certain level of contraction that is known as a partial state of contraction, that is known as muscle tone. Okay, so it also refers to the sustained partial state of contraction of the muscle under the resting condition. When you are standing, you are in a resting condition. When you are sitting, you are in a resting condition. But in that resting condition also, there is a certain muscle which maintains the posture of posture that will have a partial state of contraction. And that partial state of contraction is known as muscle tone of that muscle. The muscle tone is present in all the muscle, but is well pronounced in the extensor muscle, that is the anti-gravity muscle. What is the basis of muscle tone? Basis of muscle tone is the purely function of it's a static stretch reflex or myotactic reflex. It is this muscle tone is basically a function of stretch reflex at the level of spinal cord, or that is stretch reflex also known as myotactic reflex, occurring due to low frequency and asynchronous discharge of gamma motor neurons. So gamma motor neurons discharge will affect the muscle tone. Okay, the discharge is out of phase with each other. So there are many discharges and they are not synchronous, they are asynchronous, so they will be out of phase with each other. Their frequency of will be different, but they will ultimately merge. All these discharges will merge together to produce a smooth functioning of that muscle contraction, right? So this is the basis of muscle tone. Now, what are the clinical features associated with muscle tone? One is you can get hypotonia or hypertonia. What is hypotonia? Hypotonia refers to decrease in muscle tone. The hypotonia, or also called as flaccid muscle, offers little or no resistance to the stretching. Hypotonia, or also called as flaccid muscle, offers little or no resistance to the stretching. So when you are able to move without any resistance felt, that means this is a hypotonia. Okay, the muscles are generally hypotonic when the rate of gamma efferent discharge is low. So when the gamma efferent discharge is low, less tone, so hypotonia. If the gamma efferent discharge is more tone, hypertonia. So here we are discussing hypotonia. What can be the cause of hypotonia? One is the destruction of the efferent motor nerve to a muscle by any injury or by a disease called as poliomyelitis, right? दूसरा क्या हो सकता है? Destruction of the afferent pathway may be seen. Afferent means sensory pathway. May be seen in a tabes dorsalis. Tabes dorsalis is a condition in which there is a syphilis. Syphilis is a disease. In disease syphilis, there is a complication known as tabes dorsalis. What happens in tabes dorsalis? The dorsal nerve root of the spinal cord are pathologically damaged in syphilis, and that condition of abnormality in the dorsal nerve root So dorsal nerve root is the entry point of all the afferents, all the sensory fibers. So if that dorsal nerve root get damaged pathologically in a disease called syphilis, so this condition is known as tabes dorsalis. Okay, यहाँ पर dorsal column, dorsal nerve root वो सब affect होता है, ठीक है. Or there can be stimulation of inhibitory area of the brain located in medulla. So in medulla there is inhibitory area, there is facilitatory area. Inhibitory area, inhibits the spinal reflex so that there is less tone or decreased tone. So if that there is somehow there is a inhibition area का stimulation हो जाए, उस area का stimulation हो जाए, तो there will be more and more inhibition to this stretch reflex, and that's why there will be more hypotonia. If there is a inhibition or destruction of facilitatory area, अगर facilitatory area काम क्या है? Facilitatory area काम है increasing the stretch reflex and hence increasing the muscle tone. अगर किसी तरह इसका inhibition हो जाए इस area का या destruction हो जाए इस facilitatory area का, तो there will be less tone, hypotonia. If there is a decreased gamma motor discharge anyhow during sleep, also gamma motor discharge during sleep, you can see there is a hypotonia in the muscles. When you are awake, there is a hypotonia. Like not hypotonia, I said there is a tone, but decreased tone during sleep. Effect of certain drug like barbiturates, tranquilizers, if they are given in a high dose, this will decrease the tone. Destruction of cerebellum. Cerebellum is also involved in the muscle tone. So if there is a destruction of cerebellum, this will also produce hypotonia. Hypothyroidism can also produce hypotonia. These are the conditions which produces hypotonia. Now what is hypertonia? Hypertonia refers to the increase in muscle tone. The सब चीज opposite होगा. Means spastic muscle, hypertonic muscle is also known as spastic muscle that will offer high resistance to any of the stretch. It will not allow stretch to occur. So एकदम सख्त हो जाएगा muscle, movement बड़ा difficult होगा उसमें. The muscles are generally hypertonic when the rate of gamma efferent will be discharge will be high. So what is the cause of hypertonic? Same, just opposite. The cause will be opposite. Stimulation of facilitatory area, destruction of inhibitory area of the brain. Other factors which increase the gamma efferent discharge are anxiety, unexpected movements and stimulation of the skin by noxious agent. पेन किसी को पिंच कर दो, है ना, वो सब तुम्हारा टोन को बढ़ा देगा. अनएक्सपेक्टेड मूवमेंट टोन को बढ़ा देगा, ठीक है. लाइक सपोज यू गेट स्लीपी और एक बार सर नीचे हो जाता है, फिर अचानक से उठते हो, सारे मसल में टोन आ जाता है ना, तो वो एक टाइप का ये हो सकता है. या फिर कोई तुम पढ़ रहे हो, पीछे से कोई चीटी काट दिया, तुरंत तुम उस सारे मसल में टोन इंक्रीज कर लेते हो. दैट इज द इंक्रीजिंग द टोन. Gamma efferent discharge is increasing. Types of hypertonia. Hypertonia is of two types. Increasing tone can be referred to spasticity or it can be referred to the rigidity. Spasticity is a hypertonia which is confined only to one group of muscles. Only one group. Either extensor or the flexor. For example, that will spasticity always occur in a lesion of internal capsule. Okay, internal capsule is present between what? Internal capsule is present between what? It is in the subcortical area, and it is through this internal capsule that the pyramidal tract passes, and it is between what? Lenticular nucleus and the thalamus. Right. So this is spasticity, always occur in upper motor neuron lesion and lesion on the internal capsule. While rigidity is a hypertonia which involves both extensor group and flexor group. समझ रहे हो ना? Extensor group or flexor group equally. And that is in the lesion of the basal ganglia that will produce the rigidity. So understood the difference between spasticity and rigidity? So we will end here. Okay, in the next class we will study the reflex activity. Thank you so much.